So I just shot a deer this morning, and I'm about ready to go down and get it. But before I do that, I want to share a little devotional with you regarding the discipline of self-control. You know, it's November 19th today, and really it's that time of year that basically every hunter, for the most part, looks forward to these last couple weeks, and that's the rut. And basically what the rut is it's that mating season for whitetail deer, where those bucks are up looking for hot does that are ready to be mated, and then of course, you know, they find them and stick with them for a little while, mate with them, and then go try to find another doe that's coming to heat. And the reason the rut is so good to hunt is because these bucks, especially mature bucks, they will do things in daylight that they would never do basically almost any other time of the year. It's been said that if you were driving down the highway during the rut and you saw a buck standing next to a hot doe, you could drive to the nearest city, take care of business, come back, and if that doe's still there, that buck is going to be in the exact same spot. Because when a doe is hot, a buck will do almost anything to stay with her. He's not going to leave her. And that's why we as hunters love to hunt the rut, because that's when these mature bucks are the most vulnerable. It's when you see them in daylight the most. It's the same way with comes to our struggle with sexual temptation. As men, and even women are dealing with this more now than ever before, but specifically as men. You know, we have a weakness. It's called sexual desire. And that sexual desire, if we're not careful, will destroy all of us as fast as it possibly can. And really the only way to combat that is to learn how to have self-control. Chuck Swindoll uses the term the discipline of self-control. Basically training yourself to have that kind of self-control, so in moments of temptation, when they come, and they will come for all of us, we have that self-control where we don't get caught unexpectedly like a buck in the open, because that drive is so strong that we just do stupid stuff. I like how Paul puts it in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. I think it's verse 27, but he's talking about running the race, and he talks about how we run the race, but only, you know, how runners run a race, but only one person wins the prize. And the point that he is making is that those who run diligently, they have to discipline their body. And the term he uses is he beats his body and brings it into subjection. That term discipline literally means beat his body. He forces it into subjection to learn self-control, so that while he has these urges as a human being, these fleshly urges, and it could be the urge to eat unhealthy food, I mean, it could be the urge for all sorts of things, but obviously the most common for men is typically the area of sexual temptation. Paul is saying that he disciplined his body in such a way that he was learning self-control, so that while he was running the race, he didn't want to be disqualified from it, because he didn't have that self-control, that discipline of self-control. I shot that buck this morning, and he was with a hot doe, coming through with a hot doe. And in fact, 2013, the first buck I shot out of this very tree, this is the second buck I've shot out of this tree, but the first buck I shot out of this tree, he was with a hot doe, coming through right on the tails of a hot doe, and I ran an arrow through him at 36 yards because he wasn't going to leave her. Well, this morning that buck was with a hot doe, and he came through, and he was about 27 yards away from me, and I had grunted a little earlier, and I think he came in looking for a fight. But he wasn't going to leave that doe, and he was going to protect her and fight anything that would try to steal her from him. Cost him his life. And you know what? Sexual temptation for men will do the very same thing. If we don't learn discipline and how to have self-control when temptation comes, it's just, we're going to fall prey to it time and time and time again, and be frustrated and ashamed and condemned because we've given in over and over and over again. The key is practice self-control in those moments when you're not being tempted. Fasting is a great way to practice that self-control, to learn that discipline of self-control, control those urgings, the urge to eat, which is, quite frankly, every bit as natural and normal as sexual desires for men. We're going to have both, and quite frankly, there's nothing wrong with either of them. There's nothing wrong with sexual desire. It's the way God created us. It's when we misuse that sexual desire, we run after things that are not appropriate, is where it becomes sin. Just like somebody who's a glutton, being hungry and eating is not sinful. It's when we indulge in that, overindulge in that. Of course, most people don't even look at things like eating as, sinful, but if you're indulging in eating and doing it gluttonously, I don't even know if that's a word, gluttonously, but if you're a glutton, that's sinful. And the way to learn how to take control of those things is to practice the self-control and discipline in moments when you aren't under that temptation. And what will happen is you discipline yourself over and over and over again. You beat your body. You bring your body under control where it does not have control over you. Its urges and desires do not have control over your actions. And when that happens, then temptation comes, and you have that ability, that self-control, to beat it under and keep it in subjection so that you're not falling into the area of temptation. And again, specifically, I'm referencing the area of sexual temptation, because that's a biggie. It's overcoming our culture and society, and what we're seeing is that our society has lost any self-control whatsoever, and it's just lost basically all restraint and going crazy in the area of sexual immorality. So I want to encourage you, if the lust of the flesh and sexual temptation is something you struggle with, when you're not being tempted, find ways to practice that self-control. Give up that movie, give up that meal for a day, or eating for a day or a couple days, and start bringing your body into subjection and taking control of it. Because when you do that, then when the area of temptation comes, you'll have the ability to resist it. And quite frankly, when it comes to sexual temptation, you'll have the ability to flee, which is what the Bible says to do. When it comes to lust, we flee and we run. But if we don't have the self-control to resist that momentarily, we won't run. We won't find an escape route. So I challenge you, practice the discipline of self-control so you don't end up acting like a buck in the rut and get yourself in trouble, like the one that did this morning. So I'm going to get down and go see what I got. God bless. That's good enough for me. I knew he had some strange stuff. It's a 7-point. Oh boy, no, it's got a kicker. Got a kicker off the bottom. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Oh man, what a buck. Oh my goodness.